I think what I've really been focused on the last year is find a way to take the complicated and make it simple. And it's interesting to me how many people take the complicated and make it more complicated because they feel maybe like they're doing something or that's what you're expected of. But I have found that has been the winning formula in my career.
Welcome to Work Inspired, a podcast where leaders in business, commercial real estate, technology, and design come together to discuss change, challenge, and opportunity in today's professional world. This show is powered by BOS, a leader in commercial interiors. The team of workplace experts at BOS is equipped and ready to help you navigate the path to your next workspace. Whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting out in your career, you're going to learn something new today. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and get ready to work inspired. We've been so fortunate to feature leaders from some incredible companies on this podcast over the last 3 seasons. Trader Joe's, Fender, Estee Lauder, Lululemon, Microsoft, MasterCard, Foot Locker, just to name a few. Great people with incredible insights and experiences. So when I heard that the COO of Best Buy wanted to be on the show, I thought, wow, the trend continues. But then I looked at the email signature and it said Best Buy Health. And I thought, maybe this is a mistake. But a little bit of research and a planning call assured me that no, it is not. Lynn Herrick is the COO of Best Buy Health, and today she's going to talk to us about how her company is helping to transform the future of healthcare and well-being through technology. We'll also hear how she creates an incredible customer experience at her care centers. So much to discuss. Let's get started. Work Inspired starts right now. Lynn, thank you so much for donating some of your valuable time today to be on the show with us. So excited to speak with you about everything you and the Best Buy Health team are doing.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Equally excited to be here.
So we like to ask all of our guests to start the conversation by just kind of giving us a little bit of maybe the Cliff Notes version of your professional career and story. So tell us how you got to where you're at today.
Sure, I'd love to do that. I started as a lawyer. I'm corporate international law is where I started, and I practiced for many, many years. I started at a big law firm, realized that I didn't want to keep track of my time in 6-minute increments and wanted to get closer to the business. So went in-house for about 7 years and did international law, traveled around the world, had 3 kids during that time and realized that international law was quite a challenge with raising children. And originally from the Midwest, we had the opportunity to move out here to San Diego. And when we did so, really looked for a small, little bit post-startup type of company, wanted to take some risk. My husband had a little more secure role and joined a few small companies and quickly added HR to my resume to complement the legal, and then eventually moved into operations. And so today, one of the companies I worked for, Great Call, was purchased by Best Buy almost 4 years ago. And today I'm the COO of Best Buy Health, which is the division that we began once they purchased our company called Great Call.
Very cool. So our overlaps are, I'm from the Midwest and have 3 kids. Where that stops is I have not traveled the world as extensively as you have, and also don't live in the beautiful city of San Diego. I'm still in the Midwest, but I am interested to learn more about Best Buy Health. And if you guys are still doing what you were doing before the purchase and the acquisition, and actually just why did Best Buy decide to purchase a health-focused company?
Yeah, we were as surprised as you were. We were a venture capital company, capital backed, and then were purchased by private equity. And shortly after that, Best Buy called, and they were looking to expand their model. We're a recurring revenue model company, and as you know, retail is not. So they were looking to expand their scope. They really liked the idea of health, and Great Call was just a great transition company because we created mobile products and services to help seniors, active aging, we call it, age in their home. And so we were taking the best of technology, a little bit of health and wellness and care, and bringing that together. And that was a business that Best Buy really understood and felt like it was a great foray into healthcare. And since then, we still have the active aging business growing very strongly. And we've added virtual care, what we call remote patient monitoring, and bringing in more what people might call traditional healthcare. So it wasn't obvious to anyone at the beginning, but it really makes a lot of sense when you think about the fact that the senior market is growing more and more. We're adding active aging seniors all the time. And this was a small step into healthcare. And now 4 years later, we're taking larger steps.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it does make sense when you think about it. Best Buy, a technology company, and healthcare, which I think there's been even more of a spotlight on over the last couple of years, and the acceleration of technology through the pandemic. Talk a little bit about how those two worlds are colliding or intertwining to kind of shape the future of health.
Yeah, well, we're uniquely positioned being part of Best Buy. So Best Buy already has a massive footprint across the country with the Geek Squad agents who are able to go into the home, install, provide services, et cetera. Now, we want to bring healthcare into the home. We don't want to provide the healthcare, but we want to enable it in the home. So we already have and I'm just going to brag a little bit, the best caring center, call center, empathetic workforce available because we've been servicing over 1 million seniors for a long time. So if you combine that with a new platform that we bought with a company called Current Health and the ability to go into the home, there's no one who's better positioned to bring remote patient monitoring into the home than we are. And we believe that is the future, that people will want to provide or receive healthcare in their home, especially for non-acute type of matters, and combine that with an older population that wants to stay in their home. So we're enabling people to age gracefully in their home and to receive healthcare in the home.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting because we do work in healthcare to some extent, and we create workspaces. So most of what we do is in the commercial world, the corporate world. But over the pandemic, we started to look at the home, and now lots of organizations are embracing this hybrid model, which is some remote and some in person. And as I think about where healthcare is headed and what does it look like, today and then maybe 5 to 10 years from now, it does seem like it's going to be a combination of both of those things. Where in the past it was probably primarily an in-person experience. You go to the doctor, you go to the hospital. But now, like you said, acute care or things that don't necessarily require an in-person visit can be done from the comfort of home, and you don't have to go make the trip to the hospital, or you can get seen quicker, or you don't have to be around other sick people and all those benefits. So how is that evolving? I mean, like, where are we at today with that? Is it being largely embraced not only in the home, but also by healthcare providers? And do you see that increasing over time to where we might be even more of a remote to in-person mix with an emphasis on the remote down the road?
Yeah, I think everyone thinks this is a good idea. Everyone knows this is a good idea. Implementing it is hard. It's really a logistics play, and that's why the benefit of having Best Buy in the background is invaluable. So you have to have people across the country who can go into the home. We are fortunate enough to have stores that can hold inventory because you're going to have to bring in products, machines, technology into the home. So you have to have a place to do that. And then you have to have the people on the back end that can support the technology because it's still challenging, right? You get a piece of machinery, you have to hook it up to the Wi-Fi. You then have to hook it up to an app. You have to make sure that it's working properly. Information gets back to your healthcare provider. If something's not happening properly, if your blood pressure is too high, something like that, you need to be notified immediately. You might have to be able to send someone to the home. Like, it is a very challenging logistical business model that I think healthcare payers, providers, everyone believes this is the future. But it's not going to be easy. And so I think there's a lot of work to get in play. We have some really nice early projects in play. We have some nice pilots, and then some customers who are doing this on the commercial side. On the consumer side, we do a portion of this already through just the simple Jitterbug phone. Like, we have a flip phone, we have a smartphone, we have a PERS device, we have apps that provide this. So it'll be interesting to see which grows faster, individuals wanting this in their consumer life or whether it grows in the commercial world.
Sure. Are you, when I think about virtual care right now, I feel like I have a pretty basic understanding. It's like a video call, right, with a doctor. But is the technology that you're talking about, is it more sensors and biometrics and basically able to do diagnostics and to actually provide care in the home and not just provide advice over a Zoom or Teams call?
That's exactly where we're headed. So today with the company that we recently bought, Current Health, there's a device that you wear on your arm. It sends back some diagnostics. There's a team that monitors it. There are nurses on site that are monitoring. And then if there's an issue or problem, there's all kinds of protocols, whether going back to your healthcare provider, sending an ambulance, et cetera. So it is actual remote patient monitoring, trying to emulate the service that you would get in a hospital without the sick people, the uncomfortable bed, the lights on all night, and all of those things that nobody really wants to do, especially if you have a chronic condition and it's going to go on for a while. And really, it's just the monitoring you need, right? And so you do that in your home versus in the hospital. I think that's a win for everyone.
Do you feel that the care that you could provide with that kind of technology is also more customized or personalized to the individual, as opposed to showing up at a hospital and being amongst a group of people and just getting admitted or whatever you need to do, where this is now like a data set, right, that you start to collect that's really and over a longer period of time probably. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you have a holistic view of the person that you're talking with, right? So even today in our PERS business, which is, if you press a button, we'll respond and help you. We know who you are. We know who your family is. We know what your medications are. We know where you keep the key if you get locked out of your house. We know where your favorite places to visit during the day are. So versus calling 911, where it's quite a cold experience, really. We will greet you by name. We know where you are because we can see you. And then we know a lot about you. So we're providing a level of care that you're just not going to receive from anyone else.
We had a physician on the show last season, and he talked about some of the challenges in the healthcare industry. And one of his solutions was to focus more on preventative and than on sick and reactionary. Is there an opportunity? Do you guys deal with mostly people that are already sick and that need some sort of managed care? Or are you also starting to explore ways for people that aren't yet sick to be able to monitor and make sure that they remain healthy?
So I think we do both. On the virtual care side, it's usually people who are managing their care, right? You're contracting with a big company and you're doing that work for them. On the active aging side, our goal is to help seniors who are aging, but not necessarily sick, stay in their home, stay relevant, have access to information, stay safe. And so all of those things we believe are preventative that keep you from being in the state where you're in the hospital.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What are some of the fastest growing segments of your industry? I mean, if you look 5 to 10 years out, where do you think are kind of what's growing fastest?
Yeah, we're betting on the remote patient monitoring. That there's going to be more and more chronic conditions, or even when you're being released from a hospital, instead of having to spend a few more weeks there, we can send you home with a full kit, monitor you. You don't go back to the hospital, and you can get back to healthy. Or if you have a chronic condition, we believe that we can keep you monitored in your home, and that you're going to have a less expensive and better experience overall.
Very cool. You have some experience in human resources and leading people. You've got a business that's got a focus on well-being and health, and then you've got Best Buy, which is known for technology. Do you have any advice for business leaders or people leaders to kind of help to improve those aspects of their business, the wellness and the technology aspects, and maybe some ways to merge them together?
Yeah, look, I think our special sauce prior to being purchased by Best Buy, and really why we were purchased by Best Buy, I love to tell the story. At the end of the day, many, many lawyers, many, many meetings, bankers, everybody, et cetera. But we all sat in a room. There were maybe 50 of us. And Hubert Joly, who was the CEO at the time of Best Buy, said, I'm buying this company for one reason on this slide, page 50. And everyone's like, page 50. And we opened page 50, and I could not have had a prouder moment. It was the slide where we talked about having meaningful work, doing meaningful work at Great Call, and living a meaningful life. And so for us, everything changed when we really decided that we were going to elevate the customer and employee experience at the exact same time. And what that meant was really investing in our employees. So the largest group of employees we have at our company are traditional call center agents. We don't call them that. We call them care advisors, and we call our call centers caring centers. And we didn't just name it. We made a significant change in their lives. So when I was asked to take over the call centers at the time, and they were on fire, just like every other call center in the US, right? Turnovers at 100 and some percent. People are miserable, lawsuits, all the things. And I said, well, I'm only going to do it if you give me some room and you let me try something that doesn't feel traditionally right, but let me try it. And what we did is we invested our employees. We told them we were going to pay them for time off the phones. And during that time, we provided exercise on site. We provided wellness activities on site. We brought in nutritionists. We brought in financial planners. And we basically brought all of the things that some of us that, are paid a little better, live in a little more like executive world, the things we have access to, but these folks don't. And so we brought all of that into the work world, which means usually call centers are all metric based, right? And so you're just looking at how much time and how many people can take calls, et cetera, et cetera. I was like, we're going to take a step back. We're also going to relax the attendance policy. These folks have tough lives. And what you've done is double their stress by making, if you're a minute late, 2 minutes late, I show up 5 minutes late, no one cares. But these folks are being penalized and there's points and we're treating them terribly. So we really changed the way we did it. And some people were uncomfortable with it in the beginning. And my point of view was like, look, if every call center in the US is failing and we're sending these jobs overseas and we're all just doing the same thing, there must be a new way to do this. Mm-hmm. So we changed it to caring centers. We invested in their health and wellness. We got people out of debt. We got people to lose lots of weight. We got people to understand nutrition. We talked about wellness and mental illness and all of these type of things. And what that created was an incredibly stable and loyal workforce. And so, yes, you might make 50 cents an hour more somewhere else, but you're not going to get all of this. And we have just created this incredibly empathetic, kind, and joyful group of folks who are the reason that we've been successful. So for me, it was important that we take as much care of you as we do the customer on the other end of the line. And you will hear that in the interactions. The employees will talk about it. And it was a combination of technology and wellness, because here we are selling technology, asking older adults to get comfortable with this technology, but also making sure we took care of our own people. So we're really, really proud of it.
That is cool. It's cool that the leadership at Best Buy came in and saw that, and that was one of the most important aspects of the acquisition and reasons why they were interested in your business too. I'm interested, are your call centers around the country, or are they in California? Yeah, they're around the country.
One in Carlsbad, California, one in Reno, Nevada, one in San Antonio, Texas, and one in Novi, Michigan.
Okay, so I'm interested to know, I guess, over the last couple of years, because I think caring centers like yours, where there's a lot of people in close proximity, during the when people were sent home and some of the restrictions in some of these areas, what's the plan now? Are you guys staying mostly remote at the caring? Are you trying to do the virtual caring center, or are you coming back together? Because a lot of what you talked about as far as that memorable team member experience kind of revolved around being together, and some of those things that you're able to offer them that on the time off the phone or off outside of being on the clock, a lot of those things were kind of group experiences, right?
Yeah, this has been, I think, the hardest professional decision road mapping to navigate that I've experienced. So we did send everybody home like everybody else, and Best Buy was great and stepped up with the technology to do so, because we were not set up to do that. And we made the best of it. We actually took as much of the wellness activity as we could online. So we still offered yoga through the house, and, we still offered the financial. We did everything that we could remotely. Now we're in a place, and I've never made a big, bold statement of what we're doing one way or the other, because I've certainly seen lots of my peers do that and had it kind of come right back into
change course.
Yeah. And I mean, if anything is unpredictable, it's the variance and the strains and the up and the down and the political and all those things. Best Buy at headquarters has started to bring folks back, but fortunately, it gave us room to do what we need to do. I will be honest, now that gas prices are so high, I can't ask my folks to come back into the office, right? Because especially here in California, I mean, it's over $6 a gallon. You can't ask folks who aren't highly paid to then add that to their daily life. So what we've done throughout has been very honest, very transparent, and said, we don't know. we do promise you, should we make any decisions, we will give you a 30-day window. We're not going to surprise you with it. What we've decided to do for this round, and again, I say this round because I don't know what's coming next, we'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks that we will come back in some type of hybrid manner at the end of the summer. Again, we know a lot of people have kids at home, et cetera. At the end of the summer, we'll come back. I think we're going to give people the option of coming back 2 days a week, and they get to pick their 2 days. Again, maximum flexibility. Or you can do a week on and a week off. Interestingly, we've had the centers open now for the last couple of months. Folks are coming back. So for a lot of people, they don't have a comfortable working situation at home. Too many people, too small of a space, especially if you think about Southern California. And also, they're beautiful workspaces. They're the most beautiful call centers you're ever going to see. So people are excited to be back. We provide, we call it the cart of joy, but basically a snack cart comes around every day, pushed by somebody in leadership. And so, you're sitting there, someone brings you a snack and says, thank you every day, because we really appreciate what people are doing. So there's a lot of incentive to come back. We have beautiful exercise facilities. We have classes on site. People are great, so they like interacting. People have really nice sit-stand desk spaces, really comfortable chairs. So there is a benefit for people coming back. And I think every industry is now struggling with this. Human interaction is good. We know it's good. We want to keep people healthy, but we also want people back in some way. So I don't think we're ever back to full-time everybody. And the other thing that's really important is that we don't associate being able to work from home with good performance. Like, it's not a punishment to come into the office. And I think in that call center world, people kind of start there and like, well, I'm doing a job. Can't I stay? It's like, no, we're not going to attach this to performance, because we want people to come back for the right reasons and then still have some flexibility in their home life.
I love that. I love the cart of joy idea. That's great. And I love some of the things that you listed off. There are a lot of them are in line with with what we're hearing from leadership. And I think in line with your culture of well-being, the height adjustable work surfaces, the ergonomic seating, the space that's, just as much about physical well-being or mental well-being as it is about physical well-being. I think those things are incredible. I'm interested, though, as we talk about hybrid, and especially as we're in this situation right now at this point in time where employees have a lot of choice. There's a lot of resignation going on, and outside of the safety aspects of the pandemic, there's a lot around what do I want to do, right? And that work-life balance and the flexibility and all those things that you said and you addressed. And I think having that empathy is a very good thing. But I'm interested from a leadership perspective at your organization. What do leaders want? Do they want people back in? Because you had mentioned the benefit of being together, but also acknowledging that there's certain things happening like gas prices that are out of your control and you just can't expect it. But if those things weren't an issue, is it important to leaders that people are together at least some of the time? Is that why you're heading back towards the hybrid model possibly?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely important. We believe in our culture. We believe in the special sauce. We believe in what we're doing. We believe people are better when they're having the opportunity to interact and have huddles and train. And, all the research is showing that on these online things, everything's a little bit delayed. And so you're just not as focused. You're not as involved. I have a lot of my peers saying that they're literally zoning out for the first time ever in their lives. They'll be on these calls and they zone out and lose track of time. And I think all of that is worrisome. But I think leaders also want a little flexibility. So I think it's really acknowledging the good of flexibility and the importance of being together and developing our culture. And I don't think you can continue to develop the culture at the same level if you continue to onboard people remotely. We really believe that it's okay for the people who've been together for a long time. And because we have little turnover, we have people who've been together for a long time. But the new folks are really challenged to feel part of it and to really understand it.
Yeah.
And so that's why we all believe it's important to come back in some way.
Isn't it interesting though, Lynn? It's the people that have been there for a long time, they don't need it anymore, but the people that are new to the organization, they need the people that have been there for a long time to be part of that onboarding experience, right? So like, you can't just bring the new people in and have them have this great experience and culture without the people that make the culture, the ones that have been there and have lived it for so many years. So it's definitely a balancing act, I think.
you only, well, I believe you get better by being in the room and observing others. And so you learn from the people that have been there for a long time. You learn different styles. You learn what you like, what you don't like, who you want to emulate, what worked in the room, what didn't work in the room. And, especially coming up as a young lawyer, I mean, that's all you do the first couple of years. You write a lot of papers, you stay late, and you watch.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine doing that online. I have twins who are finishing their sophomore year in college. I would hate for them to graduate and then sit in a room and be introduced to work through an online version. I want them to have flexibility, but I want them to go and learn and experience and see what you like and you don't like. And so I think we have to get there. It's just people got really comfortable in their pajamas, in their house. And then, we have to acknowledge again how difficult this is for women with young children as well. And that part, I think we need a bigger solution for. Maybe this will help us get there. But it's a lot of balance, and it's a lot of trying to get to the games and trying to do this and trying to get to the appointments and all those things. So maybe I don't think the pandemic was great for working moms, but maybe the next phase will be the good outcome that comes out of this, I hope.
Definitely. And it'll be interesting to see as the technology develops and adapts, and you guys add more to your services and your product offering, maybe how that starts to transcend or to kind of transfer over into the workplace and not just in the healthcare setting. Because I think that there's a lot that technology is enabling that we haven't seen before. The bridge between the remote and the digital and physical space, and the connection between teams that are in person or remote. So I think there's a lot on the horizon, a lot of change ahead. We've all experienced quite a bit of it in the last couple of years, but I'm very interested to follow what you guys do over the course of the next few years, because I do think the merge of a health-focused company and a company like Best Buy is where you're going to see a lot of that, maybe see a lot of that innovation kind of at the forefront of it. So I'm interested to follow along as you guys embark on this journey. And I thought what you said about the flexibility too was relevant, because leaders or people that have been, have kind of, developed in their career and maybe are at a certain level have had more flexibility, I think, in general, than people early on in their career. So now you're going to see it spread out across all different experience sets or types. And especially in California, like you said, certain people, the better choice might be to be in the beautiful, care center than it is to be in the small little condo with 4 people in it. But lots to think about. I think lots of exciting things ahead, and I appreciate all the insight. At the end of each episode, we like to kind of ask, I hate to call it personal because it can be just as much about what you're doing at work as it is in your personal life, but interested to learn a little bit more about what's been beneficial to you in your extensive career. But let's start with looking at the year ahead. What's one thing you're excited about, whether it's the second half of 2022 or into 2023?
Are we talking personally or professionally?
Either one or both.
Okay. Well, professionally, I'm excited. We have some new services coming out in the fall. And one of them is real interesting to me because we're going to take some of our social work type of care that we've been doing on the commercial side, and we're going to bring it to consumers. And so I'm really interested to see if we can get the messaging right and we can help our customers. And basically the idea there is, in the environment you live in now, how can we make it just a little bit better? And my parents have been longtime customers of Great Call, now Best Buy Health, and we've actually practiced a little bit on them. And so we have some really great expertise and some ideas to help improve people's lives. So really excited about that from a professional perspective. And from a personal perspective, my youngest child is graduating and also going to college. So we're going to be empty nesters for the first time. And we're moving to a new home. So lots of change in our life, but it'll be interesting to see what this opens up for me in my personal life and my professional life. And, it's pretty exciting to see these kids hopefully get out into the real world that's not, again, all on screen, and the careers that are out there for them, the opportunities. It's pretty fun to kind of go through it all again, but as mom in the background.
I love that. If you were going to, let's say you're an empty nester, you're like, and I know you've got a lot ahead of you with Best Buy Health. But let's say you're gonna go and travel the world again and retire. What are some words of wisdom you'd leave to your predecessor or someone who you're mentoring? What's some words of advice you would leave behind?
Well, I think what I've really been focused on the last year is find a way to take the complicated and make it simple. And it's interesting to me how many people take the complicated and make it more complicated because they feel maybe like they're doing something or that's what you're expected of. But I have found that has been the winning formula in my career. And moving especially from legal to HR to operations, it's the same formula. Take the situation, figure out how to simplify it, get everybody on the same page, build a strong team, and you can literally solve any problem that is put before you. So that would be my advice. Much
easier said than done, though, right? So simplifying something, especially something complex, is often a very challenging process because, well, but it is. It is. I love it. Any resource that you could recommend to others that's been valuable to you in your career?
I will say, well, a couple of things. One, I was given this advice, not my idea, but to create your own board of directors. So think about the things that you need in life to be successful, especially if you want to grow your career, and then create that board of directors. So for me, that's someone I can talk to about money. That's someone I can talk to about my family life. That's someone, these are all different people. That's someone I can talk to about growing my career. And then also people who just give good advice. So for me, I have 3 or 5 people throughout my career. Sometimes they change as your situation changes. And they're not usually people at the office. They're usually people you've had other experiences with. But creating your own board of directors is a really important investment. You never even have to tell them they're on your board of directors. You just create it yourself and ask for help, ask for advice. Too many people are trying to do it alone. And there's so many wise people and people who can care about you and give you the advice and be a sounding board. So I really recommend that people do that, especially women coming up. Make sure you have male mentors. The women are always looking for female mentors. And then I always say, hey, it's kind of their world, like figure out how to play in it. So that's been really helpful to me. And then recently I form a book club at work from time to time when I read a book and I think it's good and we should all talk about it. And we just did Atomic Habits with James Clear and highly recommend that to people. I love what he says in there that everyone's goal is to win. It's the person who figures out what the work is to do prior to winning that actually wins. And we've had a really good time reading that. We had about 20 people in there and just learned a whole lot from it.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for the recommendations and for all the wisdom you've shared with us today. It's real exciting to see anytime kind of that startup or smaller company get merged with or be acquired by a larger business, and especially 2 industries that haven't traditionally come together, but in a really meaningful way. So I'm excited, like I said, to follow what you guys are going to do here in the future, and can't thank you enough for your time on the show.
Great. Thank you. It was fun talking.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to rate our show. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Work Inspired podcast so that you don't miss any of the incredible guests we have planned for upcoming episodes. We'll continue to find the best and brightest minds in business so that you can learn, grow, and succeed, and so that we can all work inspired. Work Inspired is brought to you by BOS, a leader in commercial working environments and a Hayworth best-in-class dealership. Experience our 360 approach and discover the team, tools, and techniques required to navigate the complexity of your next workspace at BOS.com. If you have ideas, feedback, or would like to be featured on our show, please email podcast@BOS.com. Thank you for listening. This has been a Workspace digital production. If you're interested in launching a podcast at your organization, please email info@workspace.digital for a free consultation.